Soccer Central.
Hello, and thank you so much for pressing play on the latest edition of the Michigan Soccer Central podcast, your audio dip into the world's game being played right here in the Great Lakes State. How's it going? My name's Robert Kerr, your host of the show, as always. Episode 103 of the show. Very fun one as we are on the heels and just warming up from Detroit City FC's home opening match. We couldn't get any post-match audio because the conditions on Saturday afternoon were just ridiculous. There was no getting post-game interviews. I'm not even sure if the players were available or not, but it was so windy. Everyone was just trying to escape, and all it would have been is the sound of wind on a microphone. So I've got an interview lined up with a fan, another soccer dad that I bump into in all sorts of soccer events. Chris Rosen is on the program with me this week, and we're going to have a double episode this week as we're going to get a little preview of the NISA season later in the week. But for now, enjoy the retelling of the game, the home opening game for Detroit City FC, characterized as wind, streaking, and an L, here on the Michigan Soccer Central podcast. Hello, and welcome into the latest edition of the Michigan Soccer Central podcast, your audio dip into the world's game being played right here in the Great Lakes State of Michigan. How's it going? My name's Robert Kerr, your host of the program. We have a multi-episode week ahead of us. So the first one coming at you about 24 hours after Detroit City FC's home opener of the 2023 USL Championship season. The team at the highest level of the game here, Detroit City FC, second division. So kind of the flower of the soccer calendar is opening up with the first big game here in town for outdoors, and to kind of fill us in or kind of give his view of the game and open up what kind of I'm going to surmise. I think the title of this episode will be Detroit City FC's home opener, wind, streaking, and an L. And to open up this conversation, I've got Chris Rosen. He was there in a similar capacity as me on Saturday afternoon. I was there with the family as a fan, and so is Chris. Welcome to the program, Chris. Thank you for spending a couple minutes to talk a chilly day in Hamtramck.
Absolutely. I don't think we have, neither of us sound like we have a cold, so that's good. Good start.
Yeah, about 24 hours after that. So far, so good. Haven't come down with any snizzles or sneezes. But I saw you there. You were with family. I was there with a group of families, actually, and bumped into a lot of other friends as well. So it was kind of a fun regathering of people that haven't seen each other throughout the winter. But kind of give us a snapshot of your Saturday afternoon when Detroit City FC took on Indy 11 in the first game at home.
Absolutely. So we try to get down there as early as possible. They had a couple giveaways. They had a really cool kind of knapsack, backpack, one of those just kind of soccer toss bags. My daughter's completely obsessed with them. And that was prize number one. The second one was they had a gator to cover your mouth and nose, which yesterday would have been an ideal day for a gator, really, blocking that wind and snow and sleet, whatever elements were brewing around the stadium. But we got there about an hour early. And believe it or not, all of the freebies were gone already. So I was kind of bummed. I know my daughter Sophia; she was kind of looking forward to that. So we made our way over to grab a slice of pizza. Lines weren't bad then. However, the wind conditions were blowing multiple tents over, and I got a slice of pepperoni pizza, and it blew away. So I didn't get to enjoy that. Sophia had her cheese slice, and we ended up getting some hot chocolate. I got a coffee, and it was all right. We saw a few familiar faces. We sat on the gold side, which is a little bit more of a quiet, right at the 50-yard line. You get to see, the players sub in, get to yell at the refs. And the refs are guaranteed to hear the choice words that you come up with creatively throughout the game. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. What did you think, Rob? It was quite a day.
It was quite a day. You said you had a pizza slice blow away from you. I had drinks blow. One of them blew away that was sitting on the bleacher next to me, and I had a drink actually blow out of my hand when I was in the stands.
Wild.
So it was quite a day. It's a third game of the season. Detroit City FC started the season with one loss and one win on the road on the West Coast, but they were struck back to reality when it was about 30 degrees and 50-mile-an-hour winds. It really was kind of unreal conditions, and I'd say Detroit fans were troopers, because all of my family ended up, and all the people I came with ended up ditching and going to Yemen Cafe a little bit early, but most everybody, I think they announced attendance at 6,100 and some change, and I think probably like 5,900 or so stayed till the end.
Right. We made it to the 79th minute, and then I think we made a business decision that I couldn't believe we stayed that long, and they were sold out of blankets. I think we went and took a look to see what other warm supplies that they have, and it is kind of fascinating that the season starts every year. I went to the home opener last year, and I was questioning my decision making the whole game last year, and really the same thing happened this year. So I don't know if we can maybe move it back, get some more road games to start the season out. I mean, the Tigers don't start for a couple more weeks, and we're playing soccer and just choice weather and beautiful Hamtramck, So, but believe it or not, I don't know if you saw, but Indy 11 had a great crowd. They had probably about at least 40 people, and they were pretty loud, right behind. Really right behind their benches, and I was kind of shocked by that. I think even the Columbus Crew last year, I don't even know if they had that many people travel. I mean, maybe they did. I don't know. Do you remember that at all?
Yeah, actually, I chatted about the Columbus game quite a few times. It had some memories of being freezing cold at Keyworth Stadium, but I was actually with Luke Zagorski at that Columbus game last year, and he is a Columbus Crew fan that supersedes his Detroit City fandom. So I kind of was on the periphery of the Columbus section, and that was decent, but filled up most of one section. The second to last one there on the gold side was decently filled up with Columbus fans. And that's now the big boy family section, and it's funny, we had different experiences even though we ran into each other, because I didn't even encounter the Indy 11 fans at all, and we weren't too far away from them, but I was corralling kids and chatting with people, so maybe I wasn't being too observant.
One of the Indy 11 fans, to be cute or to be funny, whatever, he wore an Avalanche jersey to the soccer game. So I don't know, maybe he's really smart or really dumb, but I don't know. That was pretty amusing. So he was definitely a part of their supporter group. But it seemed pretty well organized. They had their own chants going. As far as game day experience goes, there was a DJ prior to the game time. I think he cut out a little bit early. I don't know if it's because of the wind, but I think they should keep up with the DJs. I love music, and I think that's something that they should, maybe even do, get the music pumping on at halftime, on the concourse and stuff. I think that's just makes it a little bit more of a full experience. So I really like the effort there. There was about nine food trucks. Does that sound right?
There's definitely a lot there. We had some of our group go grab the food while I was assigned to the drinks line. So I didn't quite see how many food trucks there were. But where was that DJ? Was that up by like the kielbasa sausage line, or where was that at?
So So the DJ was he had a little black tent which was blowing over as he was wrapping up, and I wasn't sure if it's going to be really a safety situation there. Some of the spectators or such were kind of holding down the tent so he could pack up his gear, but that was right next to where you go to grab a slice of pizza. So right kind of where you go into the rowdier side, the smoking section, if you will, of DCFC. I think the one change I've noticed in the past year, with these games selling out and having just so many people on the concourse, there is, whether it's bathroom lines or food lines, there's just a lot of people. It's not too hard to get a drink ever, but when you got to go to the can, it's definitely a little more challenging. And I think you're going to see throughout the season. I think it's the fact of, matter of fact, they're outgrowing the stadium. It's a great place, and I've enjoyed kind of seeing them grow. I have season tickets this year, but I think this is kind of where you just see, you're like, okay, it's not working. So,
which part's not working, Chris?
What we're gonna say?
Which part's not working?
Yeah, I think the capacity is it's not working. There's just too many people. It's I'm trying to stay positive here. So I do love what they're trying to do. I think they do a great job supporting the community and representing the sport. They do just a great job. Seems like they're putting out a better team on the field each year with exciting players. But I just think that the whether it's bathroom facilities or overall room spacing on the concourse, they're outgrowing the stadium. It's not it's for what they're trying to do. It's just too you can't run it at like a high school stadium anymore, I think.
Yeah, I mean, what would be the logical next step if it's not big enough now?
So this is the exciting news I was going to tell you, but I'm going to actually head down to Miami in 2 weeks to go catch a DCFC game against Miami FC. So I'll take a look at their stadium and see what that's like down there. For Michigan soccer as a whole, the solution just seems to be go find a high school stadium, rent it, borrow it, use it. And I really think with the investors, obviously I know everything costs money, but I think there's enough passionate people about soccer, the sport, in the great state of Michigan that we really got to find some of our own soccer stadiums, and they're coming. I mean, they're without no doubt they're coming. But I think some of the sold out games down there, for me, for my personal experience, like I just don't like a lot of maybe I'm claustrophobic, but I just don't like a lot of where you feel like you can't move. Sitting down in the stands was great. The gold section wasn't bad yesterday. And all the fans are always good. They're great people to each other. But that's the one thing I've just been noticing on the actual sellout games, or you have 5,000-6,000 people down there. It can get a little cramped. Whether you're waiting for the men's room, women's room, or just trying to grab a slice of pizza. Sometimes those lines can be a little bit too long. I mean, if you're missing 22 minutes, 30 minutes of the soccer game to go to the soccer game, while you're trying to watch the soccer game, and that's it takes away from the experience.
Yeah, I can see that. We were pretty tactical about it, and I was lucky enough to not get stuck in a line for the bog. But the game itself, so we talked about the wind, tents blowing away. It also had a big effect on the game itself. Not a lot of quality was allowed to be displayed. It was kind of a game where they were just trying to get through it because it was pretty brutal out there. Just like gale force winds constantly throughout the whole match. And at one point, some hail came down for a second there. And one of my favorite perches at Keyworth, I like to be on the top row and get a good vantage point. But you went up on that back row and and my hat blew off. And that's when the drink blew out of my hand, was when I tried to go on the top row.
Wow.
But the game itself, I had some fun sealing. Anytime the ball went up in the air, it just blew all over the place and was all askew. And it seemed like it definitely had an effect, and players weren't comfortable. And one thing I did notice when I was watching that, man, Detroit City, or neither team really, but especially Detroit, wasn't stringing more than 2-3 passes together at a time. And I'm pulling up on FOTMob the actual statistics, and it says here that they only had 162 accurate passes throughout the whole game, and only had.
It's not a huge shock to me. I know the game. Were you sitting down for the start of the game?
Yeah.
So the game actually had a really fun moment at the beginning of the game. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you remember it?
Are you talking about the goal that was disallowed?
Nope. That would have been great if that was a goal. No. So the game started out with right after the kickoff. There was about 8 headers back and forth between both teams, and that was pretty funny just to witness. I don't think there's too many games I can remember that kind of start out with just headers only, and it almost looked like they were all training at a training session, just trying to keep the ball up in the air. So it was pretty awesome. I remember the goal being disallowed. That was kind of a shocker. That was offsides. You had probably a better vantage point on that one.
It wasn't obvious, but it was one of those situations where there was 2 or 3 attempts, and on one of them, I think it was a rebound. The player was offside, and in a funny moment from my vantage point was that there was a guy in the VIP area, you know, where like the cocktail bar is by the Keyworth wall. He saw the goal go in, and he ran all the way down that entire bar section, high-fiving people, like long after, you know, the flag had gone up. Right. He high-fived about 50 people after after everyone had realized, except for him, that there was an offside goal.
I believe the smoking section started some smoke too. So some preliminary smoking celebrations.
Oh, brutal. And it seemed in those first opening moments of the game, it seemed like Indy 11's goalie was playing off his line. I mean, he did play off his line quite a bit throughout the whole game, but in the opening moments of the match, it seemed like he was going to get caught because that offside goal came from an attempted chip, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. We were having fun. So if I'm remembering correctly, yeah, it was an attempted chip over the goalie, and I think the save was offside. And then there was a couple other moments where they looked like they were trying to chip the Indy 11 goalie, but then as the game wore on, none of those opportunities really arose themselves, and Detroit never intercepted any bad sloppy passes or anything at the back. And they as the game wore on, Detroit definitely piled on the pressure there in those last few moments, probably after you left. Like, they really came alive. Yeah, I'd say the last 5 minutes, 10 minutes of regulation, and then it actually was kind of heartbreaking. But there was 9 minutes. I was as far as I could be, like at the far corner, so I could leave and try to get to the warmth as soon as I could. And then the fourth official put up 9 minutes of stoppage time, and I think there was a collective groan.
So I've never attended any of these, whether it was a NISA game or a USL Championship game. The most I've ever seen was maybe 3, maybe 4 minutes. I've never seen 9. And so the fact whether they added the 9 minutes was pretty remarkable. And yeah, it was interesting. And then I think I can definitely remember yelling at a player when we got a red card or a yellow card, you know, their second yellow to get a red for City. I can remember yelling at the player, telling him how miserable and how cold it was, that he needed to get up or get off the field so the game could resume. So that was one of my favorite moments for sure. And then I know it was interesting to watch the ball when it was in the air. I was surprised the keepers kept really just trying to push the ball up the field because there was going to be no control on who it was going to go to. So yeah, it was. If I was the coach of either team or the manager, I would have been like, "Hey, let's try to maybe not keep the ball in the air. Try to keep it low. Let's try to maybe do that." But it didn't really seem like either team was afraid. They kept putting the balls in there all day, and most of them, it seemed like there's a lot of balls out of bounds. A lot of turnovers for both teams. I don't know, what was the possession? Was it 50-50 or?
No, that's another thing that was. I knew that. I figured Indy 11 had a slight edge, but according to FOTMob, Detroit only had 33% of the possession in that game.
That's interesting. Did you see the man of the match? Who that was?
No, I didn't.
So it was the mustache man with Matthew Bryant, I believe his name is.
Oh, Michael Bryant.
And,
Yep.
it was Michael Bryant. So I guess he had some pretty solid interceptions and turnover rate. Converting, but he was a bully. I watched some of the plays, and he was a bully, like in the air, and at moments there was some good physical play. So that was, if you're going to be a true soccer or football aficionado, I guess that's the takeaway. It was a really sloppy, rough game, and there was some moments where you saw some defensive battles with the wind, with the ball blowing really everywhere. But each their opponent's goal. I don't know. That was I think that's probably my overall takeaway.
Well, I think a big part of what contributed to the 9 minutes of stoppage time, well, there was two things. After Indy 11 got the one and only goal of the game, they went down every little bit of contact. They went down and stayed down for a long time, and they definitely made the game ugly and slow once they got ahead. But the thing that really added a lot of stoppage time was the first streaker in DCFC history. I don't know if you saw any of that, if you left before or after that happened.
I was gone. Thankfully.
Oh, man.
I wasn't the streaker, actually.
So you were saying that you were about the 50-yard line on the gold side. Well, that was where this gentleman decided to jump the fence and get into the action and run across the field in his underpants. And, definitely did his best Will Ferrell impression, running around, streaking through the quad. And it kind of ran into coverage as he went to the far corner over by the cocktail bar and got laid out pretty good. And
I heard the reactions. I don't know if someone posted on Twitter, but I heard the reactions. Someone that was taping it kind of turned the camera, and I heard, ooh, and I was like, oh, okay, that's not good.
Yeah, there was a national account, John Mueller. He posted like the screen grab or a little clip of the broadcast, and on the broadcast you can see the guy run on and kind of go all the way across the field, and the camera pans away as he's getting nailed at the far corner. And are you familiar with the movie Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, so it's kind of a random movie, so I'll give you an excuse for not knowing that one. But there's this whole end sequence where there's it's a fantasy type movie, and there's a journalist, and she's filming all this stuff. It's going to be the breakthrough story of this reporter's career. I think it's Gwyneth Paltrow actually is the character, and she goes through this whole sequence, and at the end she looks down and she had her lens cap on the camera the whole time.
Oh my God.
And so the streaker, I saw him early, and I, as a true person of the modern age, pulled out my phone as soon as I saw saw what was happening, and I thought I had footage of the whole scene, play out, and I was like, oh, this is gold. And when I went back to look at it, I had not hit record, so the only thing I saw was at the end when I was putting the phone back in my pocket. So I didn't get the golden video of Keyworth's first streaker at all. I had blown it.
No, the only fantasies I have are about soccer, unfortunately.
but I did get a picture of him getting put into the back of Hamtramck's finest squad cars.
Poor guy. Honestly, he's probably just trying to stay warm. I mean, I don't blame him, man. It was really bad.
They were kind enough. They put a jacket on him when they perp walked him.
They put a jacket on him?
Yeah, he was in a jacket by the time he came back around to the entrance side and getting put in the cop cars. Yeah.
Not bad at all. Yeah, we made our way over to the Indy, not the Indy 11. We made our way over to the Fulling warehouse. To get, kind of stay warm and try to catch the end of the game. And I don't know if I could say the experience was amazing, but I don't know. I'll try to stay positive, so I guess it was okay. But it was, I don't know. I mean, it seems simple, right? Football, bowling pins, and some drinks, and everyone should be kind of in a good mood, but just, they weren't very welcoming, and that's to say the least. But we even had to pay a cover to get in there, which is kind of outlandish, but...
was that after the game?
Yeah, it was after the game. I'm not sure. I thought they were trying to charge us $14 a person. We called actually up there last year, and they said you have to be at least 12 to enter, which seems like a very bizarre age. And my daughter's 10, but she looks like she's 13, so I was like, that should be fine. And they didn't ask us at all yesterday, but it was kind of weird, but it was a nice place to get warm. And then we caught a few minutes of the stoppage time, I suppose. And then March Madness came on. They didn't anticipate the stoppage time on their automatic cable package. So I think stoppage time had like 3 or 4 minutes to go, and it switched to March Madness coverage.
Did everybody have a big groan at that?
I was probably the only one upset about that, but I'm sure that the rest of the people were probably just happy to be fooling or out of the cold at that point.
Yeah, I was going to say, were you warm at least?
We were really warm. We got a couple of drinks. It was great. And it was, I don't know if I've never folded in there before. And then I don't know if I've been in and been out. Cannot remember if I've been in that facility or not, but the facility's huge. It's really cool. Like it's massive. I guess they had bands back in the day. And they have like a stage. So kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's definitely a unique setup they got over there.
We got to talk about this real quick. Former DCFC players playing elsewhere. You remember their star stud named Pato?
Yeah, of course.
So he got himself a goal yesterday. It was nice.
Yeah, he's on Las Vegas Lights now, right?
Yep, exactly. So he had a good game. I think they brought home a win, I believe, and then Antoine Hopino, they tied, but I want to say he scored. If he didn't score, he contributed, but so I think he's still in good form out there. I wish he was one of my favorite players. I thought he was like the hardest worker on the field last year, so I was kind of sad to see him go.
Yeah, I was on another episode after one of the opening road games, and there isn't really. I think some of the new players that they got could be exciting, but his I don't know if anyone has his dynamism, hardworking, fast, guile. He could kind of make things happen when nothing else was really going on, and I don't know if they have anyone with that dynamic quality right now.
Yeah, I tell you what. Did you see Skaggs play at all?
I'm glad you brought him up because in the second game that they got their win, he was amazing, and he did some good things in that opening game. He has some good quality to him, you could tell. So I was really surprised. I was really surprised he didn't start yesterday.
Yeah, so he came in second half, and he looked like, and it might, it's still this. I think they're calling this preseason. Like 3 games in, this is they're still figuring out what the team is going to be. Like they're starting 11, but if I'm approaching the game, watching it like a manager, I'm thinking that Skaggs probably needs to get more involved. Next game right off the cuff.
And then we'll see what the English guy Ben Morris does once he's finally integrated into the team. And then there's also the Colombian midfielder they picked up, I think, on Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, what's his name? He's got a really fun name to say.
I don't have it off the top of my head, but I did see that he was from Bogota.
We gotta get some of these new guys on. See if we can get an interview, maybe a nice interview lined up with Skaggs. What's Skaggs' last name?
Simonson, I believe.
So cool. He's from Norway?
Oh, man, you're asking me all the deep facts. I believe so.
Norway, but I could be wrong. I follow as much as I can on Instagram. I really do. But it's tough to really pinpoint where every single player is from. But
yeah, there's definitely a different mix to the team this year. There was a number of new players in the starting lineup. And one of the big changes so far this year, this early going, is a back 4 from Trevor James, where it was pretty much, I think, a 100%.
Or was it 2 before?
It was a back 3 pretty much religiously all year last year. And a big part of the success of the back 3 was Devin Amumensa. And when I was hanging out in the corner,
to go or not quite?
So that's like my one kind of like journalistic thing that I did at the game yesterday was he was on the side right at the end of the game, and I chit-chatted with him for a minute and, asked him what his timeline was, and he said he's still like 3-4 weeks out.
He's sandbagging, man. He's gonna be back next week. No, he didn't want to play in that cold yesterday, man.
He still had to stand outside in it.
That's true. That's true. It's better to play in the cold than sit and watch people play in the cold for sure. But no, he was my. I think he was my second favorite player last year. He was unbelievable. Going back to the Columbus Crew game, he really manned up and just he had he had everyone on lockdown. And that's, I mean, dude, he's playing it at that point. He was playing against MLS guys, so he really shined last year. And then he picked up that bummer of an injury. But yeah, it'd be great to have him back. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the lineup looks. It's funny because it seems like we got a lot of tall guys and a lot of like the same. They all kind of look like the same player. Do you know what I mean?
Outside of Skage Simonson, they all do have the same. He's still the same kind of build, but plays a different way. But I know what you're saying. They all kind of have the same sort of skill set. It seems like that's why I was saying Hopino was kind of like a different breed than that. And I'm not sure who's the kind of the piece that switches up pace or attacks a back line.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we can have like I don't know what kind of formation this is going to be this year. The one thing I noticed last year was that the guys really they have their position, but they're really floating all around the field, and they're always changing. If you're playing left back, you could easily end up scoring one of the goals off a couple touches. So that I don't know if it's going to be the same like that same system, or if they're adjusting this year based on talent. But yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to have a guy play next to Maxi and be able to feed just feed each other the ball and figure out, how to make goal scoring opportunities. Their last game, they scored 3 rockets, I thought. And I thought they answered. I thought Trevor Trevor James had really figured out, how to score, great goals and really be, Detroit City's always been a 1-0, 2-1 type of team. They've never scored 3, 4, 5 goals in a game to beat their opponent. So, and obviously, USL Championship is ultra competitive, so that might be unrealistic to blow out your opponent. But that's something I would like to see. I think from just being an American soccer fan, I'd love to see more goals, right? And if they're great goals, they're not just tapping; they're great goals. Last week, Maxi Rodriguez, phenomenal goal. Who was the other guy that the opening goal? I can't remember who scored that one. The right flank, I believe.
It was Connor Rutz forced an own goal.
Yeah, but it was great. I mean, I did. Yeah, that was a quality look, and they scored early last week. So I'm throwing this week's game out. It didn't even count. I don't even know why they played it, to be honest. I don't. I hope that if it's opening day next year and it's snowing, I'd make a better choice. But yeah, I don't think either team's professional qualities or abilities was, the fact that any team scored was actually kind of a miracle. I told my friend that I was at the game with, I looked at him, I was like, there might be 2 goals this game, but I don't think they're even going to be really intentional. It's going to be kind of like a whoopsie or a, something to do with the wind. And I think that was probably true.
Yeah, that's actually the discussion I had with my with my young son. Was I don't think we're going to see some bing bang goal. It's going to be a mistake. And it was well put together. It was off a set piece from Indy 11. They played it across, and a late run came in and slotted it home. I figured there was going to be a bad back pass or, a random one in the air, like looped over the goalie or something like that, but not to be actually. And then another notable, before we wrap this up, another notable event of the game was Yazid Matthews getting a second yellow, which was Detroit went the entire season without a single red card last year. And here they are, game 3 of the season, and he gets 2 yellows, gets a red. The Indy 11 player really sold it, getting kind of did a good acting job to get Matthews the second yellow. But Yazid Matthews, I don't think had a very good game overall. Even if I don't really necessarily agree with that second yellow, I don't think he had a good game at all before that either.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I didn't know how much of intent there was on that foul. And if it really required a yellow, the ref, as soon as it happened, he was prepared. He had the red in his right hand and the yellow in his left. He was ready to throw one out. How many yellow cards were in that game, Rob? Do you know offhand or not really? I don't want to put you on the spot. I think there might have been about 8 or 9. I think the ref lost control of it. I don't know why, man. I don't know if he's the only one that wasn't cold yesterday. I would have tried to briefing that game up as much as possible, man. It was something.
There was 8 yellow cards given out in the match yesterday, and I remember now why I thought the acting got him. I remember it was the yell from the guy who was tackled. He yelled out very dramatically, and you could kind of tell that tipped the scales in the referee's mind. And yeah, and it is dangerous to go in with a somewhat of a lunging tackle when you're on the yellow. But looking ahead for Detroit City FC, it's only 3 games into the 2023 season. They are 1 win and 2 losses. But coming up here, 2 home games back to back. Coming up for City, another home game next Saturday as they welcome Rio Grande Valley FC. And then the following Tuesday on April 4th, the Open Cup returns to Keyworth Stadium, and a unique matchup as Detroit City FC will take on Gold Star FC Detroit in a very unique matchup. You going to head out to that? You going to look forward to that one, Chris?
Yeah, I'll be at both games. I'm looking forward to. I don't know what was the first team you mentioned.
Rio Grande Valley FC.
Where are they from? Do you have any idea?
Very close to the Mexico border in. I don't know the town, but
I don't know if I've ever seen them play. I've watched most of the West Coast teams play from the USL Championship. I've seen most of the teams play at least once. But so no, that'll be interesting. I don't know anything about that team. At the local level, to see Detroit, what is it? Detroit Gold FC? Is that what they're called?
Gold Star.
Gold Star. Okay. That's not. I got to make that a little more memorable. Detroit Gold Star FC coming to Keyworth for the first time. Not too sure what to expect from. They have Roddy Green from a former DCFC player, so that'll be fun to see him run around and play against his old team. They've signed. Oh my gosh, they've signed probably 3 or 4 or 5 local guys from Livonia, West Bloomfield. So it's pretty cool. And they've also signed. I just saw it yesterday. They signed a guy from New York, I think, playing. I don't know if it's at the NISA level or the. I can't remember what the other. I don't know if it's maybe the USL 2. Not positive on that, but it'll be interesting to see. I actually talked to someone today, and it's actually my buddy Jeff Sigzera. We share the season tickets. We talked about whether or not Gold Star would be able to pull off an upset, and we were kind of curious if that would be a bigger upset than DCFC beating the Crew last year, or just what that would mean for DCFC. So he kind of agreed that that'd be just utter chaos. We're both hoping that doesn't happen. So but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what Gold Star what they're trying to bring for the soccer in the area. What they're just how talented the recruiting department has been. I don't know. I think they've only played. I don't know if they've even started their official season yet.
No, that's one of the things we are going to talk about on the second episode of the show of the week. We are going to talk to the Knights who say NISA and get the lowdown on everything that's going on with the 2 NISA teams here in town. Gold Star FC have their first ever competitive match Saturday, April 1st, away in Chattanooga. And then their second competitive match in Hamtramck against Detroit City FC in the Open Cup. So exciting times. The summer of soccer is getting started already with snow falling on us. We're just heading into what should be an outstanding year, a year that definitely will be the the year that has the most opportunities I think Michigan players have ever had to actually get on a team and play. So exciting times ahead. Can't wait for that. Thank you, Crossinho, for
thanks for having me, man.
For joining me on the Michigan Soccer Central podcast, sir.
Thank you so much for having me, man. Appreciate it. And, hope everyone gets out to a couple games. They want to wait till it's warmer. Not going to argue with that, but no, enjoy all the great soccer Metro Detroit has to offer. There's a ton of it. And listen to Rob. He does a great job every week, just getting you the info on where to check out all the soccer.
Hey, this is Chloe Ricketts, and you're tuned in to Michigan Soccer Central.
Thank you so much to Chris Rosen here on the Michigan Soccer Central podcast. Thank you for spending your Sunday evening with me. It was quite the challenge on Saturday, but glad to be warm and well and have the soccer season here in Metro Detroit really and truly kicked off. Thank you to all the guests that we've had on this program. Be sure to check out all 100 and plus episodes on your favorite podcast streaming platform. And also check out the Michigan Soccer Central YouTube channel. We try to get as many podcasts up on the YouTube channel as possible and get some video up there as well. There should be some good stuff on the Michigan Soccer Central YouTube. Check out at MI Soccer Central across the social media platforms. We got the followers going strong on Instagram, over 9,800 and counting on Twitter, and many, many more on Facebook. So thank you for everyone for following, and please be sure to follow the YouTube as well. All right, so like we said in the episode with Chris, lots of soccer ahead, and kudos to the high school girls season kicking off this week as well. I know some of those trainings must have been awfully cold. So until next time, everybody, please enjoy your soccer.